I've been riding the EUC or practicing for about the past 2 months now, and I'm going to go over kind of what I've noticed, what I've experienced from a personal trainer's standpoint of view. Okay guys, luckily my neighbor is gone, so I can use their side of the garage to kind of film this. Okay guys, we have right here, this is the Gotway Nikola 100 volt. I'm gonna go kind of over the basics, and you guys probably already know this, but we'll just go through it really quick. Obviously, just stand on the wheel, you lean forward to go, and you lean back to basically brake. That's it. There's like a gyroscopic sensor in there that basically makes the wheel go. It's kind of like the same as the one wheel, but it's bigger, it has more stability in my personal opinion. And why a lot of people don't like to ride it is because you're standing literally like this. It's just a weird feeling to kind of get into when you first start riding, especially if you're used to standing like this and riding a skateboard where you're kind of carving back and forth. This, you're kind of moving your hips back and forth sometimes, especially when you're turning. Okay guys, I don't think anyone's ever explained this, but I'm going to. There's 3 planes that your body is dissected into. When you're standing just here, like say that we're skateboarding or snowboarding or surfing, you're in what's called the frontal plane. That's basically a plane of motion that would divide your body in half right between here. Now, when we're on the electric unicycle or the EUC, you're standing exactly like this. Plane of motion that dissects the body right down the middle or the medial part of the body, that's called your sagittal plane. We're standing in a sagittal plane of motion when we're riding the EUC. For most people, it's gonna feel slightly weird. Even for me, I'm so used to kind of skateboarding. It's almost doing a trust fall every single time that you lean forward. Now, the main things that I noticed right off the bat when I first started practicing the EUC is 1, you have to get your balance down really well. If you tense your core and brace your core a little bit more and kind of really lock it in, your body will almost become one a little bit more, and you'll be able to kind of stabilize the wheel a little bit faster. What you also want to do is basically bend your knees to help with the stability. Your knees, you can bend them forward a little bit more to help you accelerate. I was learning about 20 to 25 PSI, which is really low. Just makes the wheel a lot softer for newbies, and it also helps you with your stability, and it helps with kind of like cushioning. Because once you get past about 30 to 35 to 40 PSI, the wheel gets really stiff. You slightly lean, and that thing really goes. I noticed about a few weeks ago I wasn't really going that fast up and down our hill, and the only reason why is because the wheel was starting to lose a little bit of air. Another thing that I have noticed, guys, is turning. All you have to do is basically lean into one foot and then kind of turn with your knee, and then when you're going at speed and you want to start turns, the wheel is going to want to push this way. So your center of mass, I'm going to explain another thing. A center of mass for anyone is basically if you stuck a pole right here and a pole right here through the middle of your body, and where those poles intersected, that's your center of mass. If you're on an electric unicycle, your center of mass starts to switch. So when the EUC is like way over here and someone's turning like this, your center of mass is technically outside of your body right about here to keep you balanced and to keep you upright. And that's one of those things that it gets really crazy when, especially when you're riding an EUC. The other thing is that you guys want to pay attention to is bumps. If you didn't notice on one of my last videos, I completely ate it because I wasn't paying attention. I was an idiot and I was texting, so whatever. One of the basics that I learned when I first started riding the unicycle, if you guys didn't notice in one of the first videos, was I used this wall and I used it for a good month. And get comfortable of just kind of going forward, going back, getting my foot positioning right. You know, now I mean, it's getting to the point where, yeah, it's getting a lot more comfortable, and almost not even use a hand on the wall. Another thing that's starting to feel a little bit better is turning and the quick hold like that. Now, holding this wheel against you is a weird feeling when you're first starting, but like you almost start getting the stance down. Like this is almost a typical EUC rider stance. One leg off, the EUC pushed against the knee, or just kind of relaxed and chilling until you hop on with the other foot. That's another thing that I've learned is the hop on with the other foot is one of the harder things, but once you get it down, you get it down, and that's it. Now, what we're gonna do I'm gonna pick you up and we're gonna set down right here. Getting better at just kind of maneuvering. It's gonna take you some time unless you've been riding for a while or you just pick it up. Like one of my buddies, Jay, he picked it up in like a fucking week. Good for him. That was gnarly, by the way. The main thing is that you have to build these neural links and these connections in your brain, and the stronger those neural connections are, the faster and easier things get. That's why when you build up a habit or you build up a skill, it gets a lot easier to do after time, over time. If you guys remember my first videos of me learning this almost 2 months ago, if you remember how wobbly I was, that's my body trying to stabilize, and holy crap, I was sweating my ass off learning this. But once I got it down, it almost turns into second nature and you just start to flow. Also guys, there's a lot of toe placement, and you move your feet around a lot on the EUC. So when you're learning as a beginner, in my personal opinion, first find a pole so you can move around that pole in a 360 degrees fashion and just get used to turning. Get next to a wall and get really used to going forward and backward next to that wall. Then after that happens, then you can start to, gradually get away from the wall for a few feet. Then you can start to try to mount the EUC by stepping on it and trying to get there. This was one of those things, I usually pick things up in about a week. This took me like 2 months. So, I mean, it's not an easy thing. Pay attention to what the fuck you're doing, because I already ate shit. And if it wasn't for me wearing that helmet, I probably would have had a concussion. Like, comment, subscribe.